Hey there, this is Charles Myambo, and I'm here to give you a synopsis of the amazing interview that I had with the iconic Mafikizolo. Feel free to check the link below in the description in order to find the full interview over on the Hype magazine. Now, there's several things that we could highlight about Mafikizolo, but I will try and restrict myself to just but a few of the qualities that I identified about them during the interview. The first thing being glaringly obvious that I would highlight about Mafikizolo is that they're probably the consensus greatest duo in African music history, and arguably one of the greatest music duos in music history worldwide, regardless of genre, regardless of continent. They are one of the biggest. They have been doing it for a very long period. I think one of the most pertinent things that I learned about them during the interview was that they are very durable. They've been around for 25 years. That is a quarter century. You have to realize that it's not easy to be around for that long, for over 2 decades. 2 decades in music terms is very long. 2.5 decades in music terms, and the way that trends shift is like an eternity. And to be able to not only remain relevant, but to be at the summit, at the very top of the music industry for that long is something that is just iconic. And perhaps the next point, which is intertwined with this one of durability, is how adaptable they are. Because you cannot be around for that long, for 25 years, for a quarter of a century, without being able to adapt, because there'll be so many shifts and changes in the music genres and the landscape of music as a whole, just in general. All across the board, there'll be so many changes, and you have to adjust to different sounds, different preferences, different generations, even in terms of what type of music they're willing to listen to, what they're willing to assimilate. And Mafikizolo have been exceptional at being very good across the board. They have been able to be durable for this long because of just how adaptable they are. Another thing which is very key that I learned during the interview is just how much they value collaborations. They want to make sure that they are being able to express their music to a wide audience, but not just in one way. They want to be dynamic, but not being dynamic to a detriment of losing their authenticity. They make sure that they always have their own signature style in any track that they have. Any track or album they have, they will have their signature in there, but then they still see the importance of being able to be dynamic and having variety in their music. You can see this with all their big collaborations with huge artists such as Wizkid, Davido, Yami, Ja Praiser, DJ Maparisa, and several other big people. In fact, I can think of Diamond Platinum as well. The list goes on. And they've been able to collaborate with all these wonderful artists because of just how good they are. Everyone wants to be on a track with Mafikizolo, but then beyond that, it's also been because of just how much they value collaborations. They are so open to working with all types of musicians, whether the musicians are very established, like the names that I just mentioned, or they're up and comers with a fresh sound, and Mafikizolo sees potential in those people and thinking, well, we can also give a bit of attention to them and help them come up, but at the same time, be able to incorporate a different style into the music. That's how they're always thinking. So they really value collaborations, and that's something that is very, very good and very admirable, especially in a society that tends to be very individualistic, like today's society. And then the other thing that I would like to highlight about Mafikizolo that I learned during the interview is just how down to earth they are. They're very, very humble. If you look at their resume, their reputation precedes them, but they are not people with overinflated egos. The duo is something that at the basis of it contains a world-class music composer and uh, an exceptional lead singer whom have been able to have global acclamation, being known around the world as being some of the best that the music industry has ever seen in terms of groups. But still, that does not get in the way of them being humble, down to earth, and them being genuinely caring people about everyone within the music industry. So this is something that is very refreshing, just how humble and down to earth they are. And I picked up on this from the interview with them. And I think I will end on a note of highlighting what may be the most important thing, which is that they're celebrating their 25th year in the music industry, which is just a phenomenal stint. It's not very often that you see a music group or you see artists as individuals being able to get to a point where they have had a decade, 2 decades, let alone 2.5 decades of relevance, being right at the top of the music industry. And in celebration of that, they have their latest album, which is Idwala, where they have several prominent musicians, some up and comers, some established, and they have such a great album with that one. I recommend everyone to give it a listen. And they're really coming up with big things. They're going to be having tours soon. There's several exciting things that I was able to truly get, the first hand information from Mafikizolo themselves. I advise everyone who can to go check out that interview. They are probably one of the greatest music groups ever, regardless of genre, regardless of demographic. They're one of the very best, and I think their name will forever go down in history. Let us give them their flowers while they're here. They're exceptional. Do make sure you check out the interview. Until next time, cheers.